to Iconic Talk. This is your community's podcast with conversations about real estate, local happenings, and all things Winchester, Virginia. I'm Mark Francis, a local realtor, broker, and owner at Icon Real Estate.
And I'm Megan Eanes, a local realtor and part of the Icon Real Estate team. Mark and I are so excited to share everything that we love about Winchester, Virginia with you. We want you to be an informed, savvy real estate consumer in today's ever-changing market.
Yep, if you want local knowledge, you've come to the right place. Well, once again, we are here in the Iconic Talk studios in Icon Real Estate offices at 41 South Cameron Street. Just for everybody to know, feel free to stop by those offices anytime.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's not like this closed, secretive location. There's nothing, like you can't pop by. I mean, it's just wide open, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
Right. Come on by.
Offices are open. Stop by, check it out. There's still not signs on the building. And when I say signs, it would be Icon Real Estate signs.
Look for the floor mat in front of the door.
Look for the floor mat. Signs are coming. All the permits have been approved. There's one final permit that we're still waiting to come in, and then the signs will get put up. We'll be having a fun open house down the road at the end of April. And yeah, I love the building. I love the culture and the vibe that it brings. And just a quick story of the old offices that we used to be at. It's just half a block away.
Right.
And when we first moved into those buildings, we were just kind of fumbling around looking for anybody to help us. There was one person who was just like a friend of a friend of a friend who said that she could help. And I was like, I really am going for this mid-century modern look because it fit the beams and the character of the building. But it needed paint, it needed walls torn out, it needed all kinds of stuff. And we got halfway down the road and it just was not vibing, not working. And so I said, I know who I need to call because this is the person who I would trust and who I would know. Called Ruth Truman, an interior designer, and we were halfway through the process, halfway through
how do you
the
know
design.
Ruth?
I've known Ruth from church.
Okay.
And she has done a couple things for us, and we partnered together at church events of decorating, of course, interior design with events. And she also has a sick child that over the years, there is all kinds of just people who would help and support her and her family. So anyway, so that's how we got to connected with Ruth. And I said, she's the one who needs to help with this building. So she turned the corner of where we were in the design process of the old building and made it exactly how I had envisioned it. This mid-century modern look that had furniture and cool, sleek features that matched kind of the culture that we were shooting for Icon Real Estate. So fast forward to here we are now. Well,
in your own building, in Icon's own building,
the actual building that we own. And I'm like, Ruth, it's time to go again because I need you to replicate what we had done at the old building. Everybody just raves about it when they walk in. They're like, this is so cool. I love it. It's amazing. I've never seen an real estate office like this. And I want those same reactions for a building that we're in today. So I said, Ruth, you got your job cut out for you because it's a complete different floor plan, complete different just layout of the building. But I'm like, make it identical and make it better.
Well, and taking it also from a residence to an office, but still keeping the warmth. So I mean, I love the reception area downstairs, the fireplace, the wood mantle that we have. I mean, really, if you're out and about, just stop in and just come in and see what she's done.
Wide open.
It's beautiful and warm and comforting, and it's just a great space.
And it gives us all the things that we need, which is a hangout space for clients when you first pop in, and you can see the front desk where I love just doing presentations on the TV and be able to show you here's houses, here's a listing presentation, or here's the things that we're looking for, make notes, and it's all visible. It's open, but then there's a few other separate office spaces. There's our recording studio here that we're in right now. We're currently working on an apartment in the back of the building that will go up for rent very soon. And so over the course of this episode, you may or may not hear saw blades in the background. So yes, no, there's not like a crazy Halloween party back there with Freddy Krueger or whatever else is going on back there. No.
Stairs being installed.
Stairs being installed, and so you'll hear noises throughout the episode, which is fine, but that's all part of the vibe that we have here.
We're real.
We're real, yes. So, there will be an apartment. So, by the way, if anybody wants to live downtown and have an amazing apartment with walking distance to downtown
and
a parking space, 1 bedroom, 1 nice full bathroom, separate living room space, separate kitchenette, it's amazing. So, that'll be going up. Less about me now, okay?
Right.
As the saw blades and the nail guns and stuff go off in the background.
Almost on cue.
On cue. We started talking about Ruth, and yes, it is only logical for us to have a chat with her today. And so you'll get a chance to hear from Ruth Truman, her background, her stories, her expertise. She'll give you some tips as well, because we all want to hear tips of how can we make our house better.
Right.
And she has an amazing story. So I would suggest continue listening to our chat with her, but also, I'll say it again, come by Icon Real Estate and see her work for what it is,
right?
In person. So here's our chat with Ruth Truman from Ruth Truman Interiors. Well, we are here with Ruth Truman from Ruth Truman Interiors. How are you?
Yay, thanks. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, it's funny because we have talked about you a lot on our episodes of just how amazing you have designed the space for Icon Real Estate. And now we finally have you here. So as you walk through this building that we're in, you took it from, I won't say it was rough shape, but it was a residence shape with dark blinds and things around that didn't work to something that's an amazing office. So
yeah,
what's your impression of what it looks like now? Because we'll brag about it, but
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it turned out, exactly how the 3Ds.
That's what I love about it. Yes, because it's almost like a TV show where, you treated it and you took something that was a blank canvas of what can you do, put it into a 3-dimensional virtual reality kind of tour, and it looks almost identical to it.
Yeah, that is the great thing. And I think that's, one of the benefits of using a 3D tool that I use with my clients and stuff is that it just helps people who not everybody's as visual and creative as, to visualize what is it going to look like and all the details together. Mm-hmm. So that really does make a difference, I think, for a lot of people.
It's funny that you say that. It looks just like the 3D, and that's my first reaction, too. It's just kind of, and I'm sure that's a goal of yours, to somehow make it look like the drawings get pulled together, and it did.
Right,
it's
yeah,
great.
No, everything came out almost exactly the same, so that's...
Well, enough about us. Enough about the building. Yes, and bragging about your cool designs, which we'll hear more about. But just tell us about yourself. Give us a little history of your life, because there's some interesting stories along the way that led you to where you are today in Winchester. So tell us about your family and where you grew up.
Yeah. So, firstly, let me say thanks for having me.
Yeah.
And this is officially my first podcast
ever no pressure.
In my life.
It's just us chatting. It's great.
It was mine too.
So that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So I actually grew up. I was born and raised in Africa. My parents were missionaries. So we lived there until I was 18. And a lot of people always think that's interesting because you're an interior designer and you grew up in Africa.
How does that work?
Right? How does that work? But I feel like if it's in your blood, it's in your blood. You know. When I was little, I would my mom would make all the bedding, and I'd be like painting my room, in Africa. So so grew up there, came here to go to college when I was 18. We all moved back actually to Ohio. And I actually started with a communications major. Didn't know what I wanted to do really. So, that seemed good. So my second year, had a friend whose daughter, my parents had a friend whose daughter was an interior design degree, which I actually had no idea that was, that was before HGTV TV shows that even, you knew that was a job. So I actually had no idea that was a career path. And so I was like, wow, yeah, that sounds like I'd want to do. So switched majors, got a 4-year degree in design, got married, had a couple jobs, worked for other people along the way, started out actually in commercial design, more so like offices, cubicle type, where you build the cubicles.
So how do you get out of school to then land a job in that industry? I mean, it's probably a very specific niche degree, interior design. And so a commercial company found you?
Yeah, so actually, I mean, if you think about, someone else said this the other day, like, regarding like their daughter, they were kind of saying don't do interior design because there's really no jobs in it. And I was like, you'd be surprised how many areas need interior design or have interior designers. I mean, the government has interior designers, commercial design for all kinds of things,
hotels.
And then hotels. I mean, everything.
Yeah.
Is about design, really. I mean, you have to build it, you got to design it. And so it's not just the architects that you're having them design the structure, but it's really important to have a designer do the interior space. So yeah, it was a commercial company that really did, it's called Steelcase Furniture brand, and it was more so like building the computer-based CAD, building the cubicles, and then, materials in office spaces. So it was a good stepping stone. Then that was in Ohio, moved to Maryland, actually, Frederick, Maryland, because my husband got a job in Leesburg. So we lived in Frederick, Maryland, and I worked for a model home company called Builders Design, which are still around, a very big model home company. They do model homes for builders. They're one of the biggest on the East Coast here. And so actually I worked for them for probably 5 years. And really that was, I want to say, pivotal in learning scale, space, learning how to design for a specific type of client, because there you're designing to sell the home. So we had marketing people who would market research where this house is going to be in the certain area, and they would give us that research. So we are going to design this home based on selling it to a specific client.
That's right up our alley.
Right?
Yeah.
As
right.
far as like what people need to do to sell a house. But then that's basically, you're still working for a person or a company who's doing all that. Then you're translating that now into where you are today, where you're on your own, right? And so how did you make that decision of saying, oh, it's nice to work for somebody who gives me the jobs and gives me the work, to then say, okay, I'm ready to launch and do something more on my own? Was that like a forced thing of how you got to Winchester, or was there a mental decision of a light bulb saying, oh yeah, I think I can do this by myself?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was some time that passed. We moved from Frederick to here. I had kids. I just did the stay-at-home mom thing for a while, and then kind of just helped people out, here and there. And then I was like, after my kids got a little older, and I'm like, wait a second, like, why work for someone else when you can have the control, and the freedom,
and flexibility
with kids. Let me just do this. So I started off, little at a time, and then I think it was in 2016 where I sort of like decided let me call it something, and let me have a website and figure this out more.
So when did you move to Winchester then? And what moved you from Frederick to Winchester?
So we had lived in Frederick and in a townhouse actually, and single families were more affordable, honestly. And we had there's a lot of people that my husband worked with in Leesburg. He worked that said, "Oh yeah, move out to Winchester." you can get more land for less.
Yep.
So we jumped on the boat, and they said, oh yeah, it's easy. It's only like 35, 40 minutes. Well, we never drove that drive until we actually moved.
Wow.
And it's a little longer than 35, 40 minutes, but
right.
It's not bad. And so anyways, yeah, so that's what brought us here. We moved and love it. Loved it ever since.
So tell us about your family. You said kids. How many kids do you have?
3 kids. Have just turned 19 in Arizona going to college, and then a 16-year-old Isaiah, and then youngest is 13. And so, yeah, 3 boys. Never did get it, my girl. When the boys get married, that's what I'd say.
Right.
I'm going to get 3 girls.
That's right.
Awesome. So then launching and doing something on your own is obviously, it sounded like for the purpose of just helping people you know. And how has that developed into a business beyond just helping people? Because that's the difference. Both of us, Megan and I, have owned our own businesses and worked for other people. And there's a little bit of additional challenges that come with doing something on your own,
right.
you know? So what have you experienced over those 6-7 years of doing that on your own?
Yeah, no. So, I mean, I think that I always say to new kids who are like thinking about design, what is the like number one thing if you want to be an interior designer? Like, make sure you love working with people, right? Because, I mean, you're in it with them. Like, you see all their nitty gritties and everything. So just like real estate. So I feel like that now I'm losing track of
people.
Where I was going.
Yeah, folks. It's all about people.
Yeah, right.
I mean, from what we experience as realtors, you do see, like you said, the nitty gritty of people's lives, and they open their doors, they open their homes to you, and they say, okay, tell me what to do to help sell a house. You're very similar. They're opening the doors to you, and they're saying, this is my ugly world, make it better. Right?
Yeah.
So it's this kind of interpersonal experiences that you're constantly having to work with, making a customer or a client happy.
Right.
And how do you get to know your clients to be able to know what's going to work in their space? Do you design for the person, or do you design for the space?
So I have a process that I like to work with clients. First, initially, we do a quick call. And that's kind of just to get a feel for the project, like what they're trying to move forward with. And you can kind of get feel a personality on a call. And then my second phase is we do a 2-hour consultation, and that's a more in-depth. Like what are we getting something? Are we just a living room? Are we furnishing it? And then after that 2-hour consult, if we're moving forward with like a big project, then I have a design quiz, questionnaire, and I really try to hone in on what their style is. I mean, I have a personal style, but not all my clients have the same style. And so I really think as a designer, I mean, it's really important for me to design something. They're living in it. I'm not living in it. So it's like guiding them on, I'm going to obviously make suggestions. I'm going to create a design, but with their style in mind. And, guide them to make the right decisions of what is going to work together.
Do you have someplace local that you like to get your, your furnitures or any of the, knick-knack things for decorations? Is there someplace local that you like to go to?
So it depends on the space, but the local places are great for like upholstery. Most people, when we're purchasing upholstery, want to be able to sit in it, right? Like a new sofa. And so like I use Patton's furniture here in Winchester. Is great, love them. Right. And so I'll narrow the options down, and then we'll take the clients. A lot of the other items, however, is as a designer, I have access to vendors that are not open to the general public.
Okay.
And so I sort of curate items and in picture form based on that, and then during the presentation,
it is unique to hear you say that, like, you have your own personal tastes, but then you try to cater towards the tastes of the client, and you have to merge that, I'm sure, because for the most part, the general public probably is not experienced in interior design, just like the general public's not experienced in being a lawyer or an accountant or a realtor or a graphic designer. There's experts, and so you're the expert in that field, so you have to merge your expertise into their tastes. What does that look like for you when you're trying to coach and guide a client and they're asking for something that might not be aesthetically pleasing in your opinion?
When both of what you want is so far off.
Right, exactly. Well, I think that that first beginning process, like, I like to say that not everybody, when we meet, and if somebody's taste was really like, I just didn't think we were gonna gel, like, overall, I feel like I'd offer, like, maybe it would be good to find a designer who's like really, Gothic style or something. There's once in a while there's an extreme taste, but I think that the key is, I've worked with clients who are French country, mid-century modern, and I love design, so many aspects of design that I could look at a French country kitchen and love it and know that, putting it together, certain things are going to work and certain things aren't. So that's where you're steering them, and you're hoping that they're going to trust and value that your expertise in. We're getting to the end goal of a modern kitchen, and so putting this in it is not going to work. And so you're sort of just steering them so that they're making the best decisions, to come out with that final product.
Collaboration,
right?
Trying to work together to make it all cohesive of what they like and what works. So give the people what they want right now. So, because what are the trends? What are the hot colors? What are the tips that you can pass on of what people are doing to stage their houses, to design their houses, the color patterns, you mentioned mid-century modern, you mentioned French country. What are the key style buzzwords out there right now?
Well, I think that, we've had a, decade or so of, like, the whites and the grays have been really in for a long time, and especially like in kitchens and stuff. And I want to say there's definitely this warmer trend of wood is coming back. And I know everyone's like, what? But those warm white oak tones of wood, still there's mixing them with. There's a lot of mixing going on. It's not just like an all white kitchen. Like, you're mixing some of the cabinetries in the wood and some is in the white, and maybe you throw in like Black Island or, So I think that people are wanting warmth and color even. And so, like, even the sage green kitchen cabinets and the color is back. So I do think it's fun when I have a client who's not afraid of color, because it's fun.
I was watching one of those TV shows with my wife the other day, and we're looking at the end product, and it was like that. It was whites with like this huge big darker green, emerald green wall of tile, along with some really like yellowy golds, and then woods. So there's a combination of a bunch of things. And in my mind, my real estate hat is on. I'm like, they are just going to date themselves very quickly, because there's trends and then there's long-lasting, timeless kind of looks.
Right.
So we're constantly, as realtors, coaching our clients to say, okay, if you want to sell a house, let's do something that is, going to go over with the big masses, and make sure that like it's a timeless kind of trend, and don't paint the wall a big cobalt blue or whatever it might be that might be ugly, Right. And so
don't limit your pool of buyers.
Yes. But then there's what people want. So I think we coach people, if we're on a listing appointment, we'll just put real estate terms out there, and they're not really looking to sell their house, but they're like, what would it go for today? And they're like, tell me what to paint, tell me what to do. I would be coaching them to think as an investor. You as an interior designer might be coaching them. What do you want? Like, what's your wishes? Because there's this balance of a give and take of like what's going to last for forever versus what do I want and what do I want to live with today in the moment. You know, it's just fascinating because the different perspectives that people have of interior design is very opinionated. You know, a lot of and so you see that too, you know, of you know, watching a TV show where something like, that's ugly, that's hideous, or well, I want my house to look exactly like that, you know. So there's this balancing act, and I don't know, it's not a question in this, I'm just kind of thinking out loud of like, you see people get fascinated by what they see on TV shows, and you're like, I want that design, you know, that the Chip and Joanna Gaines design, I want my house to look just like theirs, or whatever the trend is right now.
Shiplap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, shiplap was definitely hot commodity there for a while. I think it's kind of waning, but I think that you know, that's a hard thing because like people will often say, you had mentioned timeless, and I was like, people often say, you know, we're redoing our kitchen, we want it to be timeless, and I'm always like, I have a job because things aren't timeless. Right. I mean, there is certain things that, you know, the moldings in this room are phenomenal. They were here, you know, 100 years ago or however old. And so there are definitely things that are, but we updated it by painting it all white, you know? So there are certain things. So that is the thing, you know, coaching people to how are we going to make this have longevity, with the reality that, you know, I say 15, 20 years, you know, you're going to want to change something.
So put your real estate designing hat on right now. If you were going to be going to a client's house and they're saying, I do want to sell, what would those differences be of how can you make it as timeless? And you're right, timeless is probably not the right word because everything's going to go out of style. But what would you suggest people do to get their house to look at least presentable in a way that would match the current trends and then be long lasting if they're going to sell their house? Any suggestions that you would make for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that for me, it's a lot about just simplifying, getting out clutter. Because I think in general, like when I used to do the model homes, we would, you know, minimize all the tchotchke stuff, you know? I always say, you know, a larger accessory is better than, you know, having a bunch of little things. So I think that, you know, that kind of thing, if someone was like to design a space, we're designing it, but they're thinking they're going to probably move in 5 years. Yeah, we might maybe not go with the, you know, all the green cabinets.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen houses where they have like saloon doors, like going into their kitchen from their dining room. That I'm like, wow. Okay, that's a very special, unique look.
Right. You know? Exactly. Yeah. Let's not go with those like really, which I probably wouldn't have suggested anyway. Saloon doors.
You mean that's not your style? Oh.
Yeah, maybe not that one, but.
Well, you know, I think that there's also a component of your interior design world that we wanted to chat about, but give us a little taste of some of the nonprofit things that you do. Talk about your family, talk about what led you into this other world that you can explain for us.
Yeah. So a quick little synopsis of, it's been about 9 years ago, my son had a brain tumor and was diagnosed with brain cancer. And he is doing great today. He's 16 years old and he's cancer-free. And the reason I bring that up is because it led me to a different area of my business, my nonprofit side, which I would have never, if we had never experienced that, we would never be in this place today. So in 2000, I guess it was 19, I had stumbled upon a nonprofit, national nonprofit called Savvy Giving by Design. And it was started by a designer in California. And they make over rooms for kids who are going through some sort of medical crisis at no cost to the family. And I was like, wow, this is so great. And what she has done is made it a national chapters, kind of like Make-A-Wish has chapters in different states. So she has made it, and so I wrote to them and I said, hey, I'd be interested in heading up the Virginia chapter. And, you know, being a little tiny designer situation in Winchester, Virginia, I thought, you know, this is no, that's not going to happen. And yeah, they were like, that's great. And so we started the 2019, opened up the chapter here in Virginia. And so since we started, I think we've provided 8 to 10 rooms for kids, including their siblings. So what we do is kids can be nominated for, or families can be nominated for this. And we meet with the kids. We totally make over their room as if they were a client of mine. And then it's basically fundraise for these rooms. So everything is, you know, provided, you know, fundraising wise. And then we also have a Facebook group page where we will post actual items that we need for the room. And then people can go and say, yep, I'll buy this. And then they ship it to me. And then we have an installation week where we basically come in and redo the entire room in a week. For the
wow, so you state it is almost like a TV show again, where it's this instant home makeover, and in a week's time, you're completely converting the room for the child who's sick, but also any siblings.
All the siblings, yeah.
Wow.
And that was really important to me because, you know, if you haven't gone through a traumatic thing with your child, you might not realize the effects it has on the other kids. And when my son was going through, I remember specifically my 3-year-old at the time said, man, I wish I had cancer. Isaiah gets everything. And I was like, you know, he was only 3. He didn't even understand what cancer was, you know? And it was just, it made an impact that, like, the kids are experiencing a lot of trauma on the siblings are. And how can we, you know, provide for them and, you know, make their day brighter? So for the siblings to get it, it's just like such an added thing, you know, thing for them to experience this gift as well.
Well, that's an awesome venture to take on. I mean, and that's all volunteer.
It's all volunteer. So there are 3 other board members. I basically was like, my sister, I'm like, can you, I pulled my sister and my 2 friends in. I'm like, can you guys be board members? And so my friend who's an accountant, so she does all the accounting for the nonprofit volunteer. My sister does all the social media. And then what we do is we try to get local, so we will often need the carpet removed, and we put down LVT for allergens. Oftentimes we need painting done. We need built-ins built. We need closet organizers. So there's a lot of like that end of the design that we need, murals painted. And so we reach out to the local area, wherever the child is. And actually we just announced that we have a new recipient, Kennedy, who's 5 here. She lives in Winchester and has 2 brothers and a baby on the way.
Wow.
And so we're super excited. We just announced her as our first recipient of the year, and we're hoping to be able to have their rooms in and done before baby comes, which is May, I think. And so we are looking, actually right now, we're not only in the fundraising part on our group page, but also looking for contractors who are willing to, you know, volunteer their time to help us on the end of the other aspects, painting and all those things.
So real quick, while we're even talking about it, how would people get connected with that?
Yeah, so you can go directly to the website, which is savvygivingbyDesignVA.org. And on there's a submission form. There's my numbers on there. Reach out to me directly if there's because we kind of have to coordinate this all. We like to minimize, you know, people who are in the middle of crisis, like for example, Kennedy's going through cancer treatments and chemo, so she might be out of the house for treatment when we go in that week, if that works out. But we like to minimize it. The family's already experiencing a lot, right? And we don't want to drag this out over months. So that's why everything is ordered, ready, set, go. And we come in a week and it's done, and then they can get back in.
It's amazing preparation and planning and coordinating.
Right.
And I'm always fascinated when you see the TV shows do that magically, but you're doing it in real life again, and coordinating all the people and all the local helpers and contractors and volunteers. So that's impressive. Thanks for working on all that stuff. That's amazing.
I just realized you've got 2 swimming families. Chloe, of course, you guys have done hers, and she used to swim with my son at Sharando. Awesome. And I think, and actually my daughter, she was a member of the Sharando Sharks, which Kennedy's family is as well, the Summer Swim League in Sharando.
Oh, that's great. So, yeah, Chloe, that was awesome. We loved doing Chloe. It was fun. That was our first kind of teenager girl room. So that's always fun with the 2 girls. Yeah, I love seeing the pictures on your website. They're great to be able to see the before and after, not just for Chloe, but for her sister too. Yeah, and it's always fun. We work up to, the week of install. We post a bunch of pictures, and then we post the reveal. Sometimes we do a video reveal, and so it's so great seeing the kids' reactions, because they don't actually know. We don't give them a whole lot. We sit down and find out what their dream room is, and then obviously pass things by the parents and stuff, but we really want it to be like a surprise. And so it is truly, they're not allowed in the room that week. We're working on it, and then it is a reveal. We call it we make them go to their room. It's the only time, making your kid go to your room is a good thing.
That's a good thing. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Right. So how many have you been able to, what do you typically average in a year? Do you try to do 1 or 2?
So, we would love to do as many as possible, because we all have full-time jobs. And literally it's a grassroots fundraising thing. It really is the funds, if the more the funds we can do, the more rooms we can provide. So that is an ongoing process of raising funds and stuff. So some years we've done 3, some years a little harder in raising funds too, but we're hoping that the number will increase, because the reality is there is actually a lot of kids, and it's not just kids with cancer. It's any sort of medical crisis where kids are just, these kids are spending so much more time in their room than average kids, whether they're healing and recuperating.
Or bouncing back and forth from the hospital. Exactly. And then when you go home, you want to have a nice, comfortable, relaxing room that you are hanging out in.
Or sometimes there's some things that are medically needed in the room.
Exactly. Yeah, we take those all into account. And I'm always like, we as adults, we change our living spaces up because we know how it makes us feel. Your space can really affect, if you're coming into your house and you really don't like it or certain things about it, it really does affect whereas you come into a calming, relaxing space, it really affects how you feel. And so that's the same concept, unlike with kids who are healing. If they can come into a space where it's more healing for them, it's going to affect the long run. It's
a great summary. I mean, it's a great ending point in our conversation too, because it takes us all the way from just talking fluff about people's houses to real life, and just that's what we're all about here with Iconic Talk too. Just make sure that people are aware of what's going on in the community. So if you guys who are listening are inspired by this, or if you know a family, just nominate somebody, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Just go to the website, let Ruth know that's happening.
Right. Or if you feel led to donate not only your time or your trades or money. To be able to contribute to the cause.
Yeah,
so
that would be awesome.
And we also have your website, RuthTrumanInteriors.com. You can go there for that. Any other plugs before you walk away here?
Oh gosh, well, I just want to thank you guys. This has been awesome.
Yeah,
so fun.
Thank you
Thanks
again.
For being here.
full circle back to Icon Real Estate. The building looks amazing.
It
so
does.
we
did
really
a great
appreciate
job.
it.
Glad you guys like it.
You knocked it out of the park. So
Awesome.
we'll refer you to all the people that we know. So
Awesome.
thanks, Ruth.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Well, thanks so much, Ruth. You're amazing. And yeah, again, as we said at the beginning of the episode, come by, see her work and process, or actually you can go to her website again,
right?
RuthTrumanInteriors.com. She has an amazing site that gives pictures and portfolio ideas of just what she's done in the past, and her design and aesthetic and her taste is great. So
I agree. It is beautiful work, and I do not have an eye for design whatsoever. Right. It is not my.
So you're fully willing to hand it over to somebody, to an expert, and say, "I'll trust and do anything 100%. You want."
I have friends that can do all this, and I'm just like, I'm blown away. I'm like, my brain does not go to this. Because I would love to live in this.
Because that's my challenge.
Yeah.
My challenge is to say, okay, I have to back away and let the expert do their thing.
Oh, I have no problem doing that.
Yeah.
Because I know when it's not my realm, it's not my expertise, and no, I have no problem. I would love to be able to take advantage of like having somebody like Ruth just come in, and maybe at my next house when I eventually do downsize, and be like, you know what, here, I want this warmth feeling that you have when you walk into, some of these houses and some of the pictures that she's designed. I mean, the properties, the kitchens, and the family rooms. I love
be able to do it.
The warmth. It's great.
Now, that was our challenge for Icon Real Estate as well. As there's a lot of people who have vested interest and opinions about what the office could look like and should look like, and I had to be the gatekeeper, be like, nope, whatever Ruth Truman says goes, and if you have an idea, she needs to approve it. Because
I do believe I heard those words directed at me once when I brought up an idea of having some macrame hanging
sound
downstairs
panels
for
or something
sounds
like that.
or something like that. Nope. It would just, and that's the great thing is when you do hire somebody, you can just kind of squash all of it.
Yep.
It's just like, look, this is her. I hired an expert. She's doing a great job. This is her designed. And then you just hands are washed.
Yep. Well, that savvy
and
giving.
She did a great job.
That savvy giving organization is lucky to have her reach out to them to say, yes, she's willing to give her time to support these families and these kids who have just health issues. And it's a great idea, especially as they're in and out of hospitals. And I had a sick child when he was 1.5 years old, and we were at UVA all summer. And if he was older, where he was aware of his surroundings, more so, I would have been like thrilled to have that happen to my family, because it's just a lot. When your family goes through a healthcare drama or stress of that, it's like your life just stops. And then, like she said, her 3-year-old is like, I want cancer too.
Right.
Because I want to get the same attention. That's an amazing organization to be able to just have her help families out in that kind of need. And
for her to be able to use her expertise, to be able to give back to the community and give back to the families.
Yep.
It's not just to the child, but definitely to those families that she can help them, the siblings, the kids, just a little bit of something during their time of need. So hopefully you guys learned a lot, because I did, and wasn't really fully aware of all that she does for these families. So support her. Get out there and support that effort. Well, what else is happening in our community as we're wrapping up this episode? Let's go to, the local town. There's all kinds of things that constantly happen every week. Yep, local events. We've got a March cash party. It's going on Saturday at 6 p.m., $30 at the Gainsborough Fire and Rescue. You can call Frank for tickets. Phone numbers 540-888-0007. If it does snow, which I always think it's funny when they put the snow dates in there. Yeah. So I don't know. Are we supposed to be getting weather this weekend? They were talking about it potentially, but I think it's off. I think it's going to be just warm enough now where it's just rain. I feel like we're just not getting that snow this year at all. But the snow date would have been March 25th. Now we also have the 2023 Spring Follies, $5 at the door. It's Saturday, also on the 11th, Sunday on the 12th, from 2 to 6 p.m. at the Corin Community Development Center on Skirmisher Lane in Middletown. Awesome. Now, this is really cool. This hits home for me. This Saturday on March 11th, starting at 10 a.m., Sharando High School Gym, The Sharando Band Boosters are hosting a new indoor competition. It's going to showcase performances from color guard, percussion, and winds. I believe this is the first one that they've ever had in the school history.
Haven't heard of that.
This is huge. So, and they are so fun to see. So, like if people like Drumline, that movie, you can see the Drumlines do different performances, and then the color guards. So that's
gonna be loud in the gym. Yeah.
Yep. But they compete every year. They go and they compete in other places. So this is the first time that they're able to have something here. And I believe there's going to be 30 different groups coming in.
Cool.
So it's pretty huge. But go to sharandoband.org for more details and pricing about what's going on there. And I also did notice that there's a bunch of things going on, a lot of sporting events at Shenandoah University. So
there's a lot.
Go to that website. There's a lot of home games. There's softball, there's baseball, there's lacrosse going on this weekend. Mm-hmm. So if you are looking for something to do, there are plenty of options this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, thanks for joining us in this episode of Iconic Talk. We hope you learned something from today's episode and look forward to sharing more with you next week. Remember, when you look for a real estate professional, make sure they're experienced, innovative, personal, dedicated, and available.
We appreciate you spending some of your valuable time with us, and we can be found on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And we would love it if you'd take the time and a moment to subscribe and share this podcast with your friends.
Yep. Thanks to our editor extraordinaire, Celine Battaglia. Until next time, think Iconic.